I'm going to do a quick mic check. How do I sound, guys? Do I have any echo or anything? Or am I good? Anybody? Mic check one, two. Good stuff. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual World Cup. So happy to have you with us for this broadcast. This should be a good one. These are the semifinals of the Virtual World Cup between Pakistan and the United States. Today is Sunday, August 9th, 2020. It is 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That means it is 8 p.m. in Karachi, Pakistan, 11 a.m. on the east coast of the U.S., and 8 a.m. on the west coast of the U.S., where I'm coming at you. I am Evans Clinchy. I'm drinking as much coffee as I can, trying to get woken up and get ready for this because it's going to be a big, big matchup between two great teams. This is a clash of the Titans. Pakistan, the only undefeated team left in the tournament at 4-0. The U.S. 3-1, and they're the top overall seed going into the tournament. Two really great teams, and only one can advance to the finals of the World Cup next weekend. This is going to be a very pivotal match, obviously. Let's take a quick look at the championship bracket and where things stand so far. As you guys may remember from watching yesterday, India has gone through to the finals. They have squeaked through with back-to-back 13-12 wins. They beat Australia 13-12 in the first round of the playoffs, and then Canada in thrilling fashion 13-12 yesterday. So India will be through to the finals next week, and they will play the winner of this one between Pakistan and the U.S. Pakistan beat Malaysia 14-11 in the first round of the playoffs on their end, and the U.S. with a big win over Singapore 18-7. Advancing to this game. So now it's Pakistan versus the U.S. One team goes on, one team goes home. Big, big match coming up. Let's take a quick look at the starting lineups for these two teams. For Pakistan, we've got Wasim Khatri, Moizullah Beg, Syed Ahmad Ali, Hassan Hadi Khan, and Sohaib Sanaullah. And for the USA, it's Conrad Basu-Bashard, Jesse Day, Austin Shin, Will Anderson, and Dave Wiegand. So if you guys are just joining us for this tournament and are kind of new to the format, here's how it works. We're going to have 25 games in total. 5 U.S. players, 5 Pakistan players. Everybody plays everybody once. It's a 5-by-5 match. So the matchups for round 1 are Wasim versus Dave, Moise versus Conrad, Imad versus Jesse, Hassan versus Austin, and Sohaib versus Will. Each round has 5 matches. Each team's going to have a winner, whether it's 4-1, 3-2, 5-0, what have you. And at the end of the match, we'll have one team with 13 or more wins, and the other team, it will be eliminated. So it's quite simple. Let's take a quick look and make sure everybody's online. They are, and I believe they are all beginning their games. We can take a look at the first round action. I'm going to take a look first at the number 1 seed for the Pakistanis, and that's Wasim Khatri. Wasim on your right and Dr. Bing, Dave Wiegand on your left. Looks like they're already underway, and they've got 3 bingos to start. If I could just quickly bring up the game screen. Sorry about that. So an early lead of 158-76 for Dr. Bing. Dave Wiegand with 2 bingos already with Plotted and Foreman, and he's got the advantage early. To everybody out there watching in Pakistan, good evening. Hope your Sunday has gone well. To everybody in the U.S., good morning. To those on the West Coast, I apologize. I know it's early. It's early for me too, but this is the best we could do. Looks like a big J-bomb for Wasim, who has made this a close game. He's down by 30 now. And for Dave, a very promising bingo-ish looking rack. I don't know if he's got any kind of crazy triple-triple through that ON, but he does have a 9-letter bingo of recliners through LI. And so Dave takes a 120-point lead early in this one. A big advantage early for Team USA. So a very nice start for Mr. Wiegand. Let's take a look at the other players. See what they're up to. We've got Will Anderson taking on Sohaib Sanaullah, and they are just getting started. It's 8-0 in that game. We've got a game between Jesse Day and Hassan Hadi Khan. That's 115-34 early in favor of Hassan. I'm sorry, no, that's Imad Ali. My bad. So Imad has the early 1-bingo advantage there. We've got a game between... That's Hassan Hadi Khan, and he's playing Austin Shin. Looks like a close game there, but Hassan has the first blank and should break it open early. And then finally, we've got a game between Moise and Conrad. Maybe we'll stick with this one for a little bit. These are 2 of the top players in the match for sure. Conrad, the top seed for the U.S., and Moise, the number 2 seed and the Pakistani national champion, I believe. So definitely a great matchup here. So it looks like early lead for Dave Wiegand, and the other games are still pretty close as we are just getting underway in this match. These have been the 2 strongest teams in the tournament so far. Pakistan undefeated in matches at 4-0. They're the only undefeated team left. The U.S. 3-1 with their only loss being a narrow 13-12 against Ireland. And in individual games, the U.S. is the most dominant team overall. They are 63-37 in their 100 games so far. Pakistan 60-40, close behind them. So these are Two very, very strong teams, and only one will face India in the finals next weekend. As we see Moisola Beg right now with an interesting rack. He's not going to bingo with this. It's a little bit too constant heavy, but he's got some options for scoring well. I see Fib as a fairly obvious one. That's a 35-point play. Yeah, 35-point play. Keeping a decent leave. Looks like Moise is going to take his time, though. Make sure he's not missing anything else. He does choose Fib, and it's going to be the first blank on the rack for Conrad. I'm not immediately seeing if he's got a bingo with that, but it looks pretty promising in one way or another. Oh, he does have over Wiley. Very nice. And it looks like Moise is going to come right back with Animato or Amation for a bingo of his own. So we got a good game between these two. Conrad and Moise have been two of the strongest players in the tournament so far. I believe that they've both had to miss one match this tournament. So instead of having 20 games played, they've had 15, and they're both 10-5. So they're both dominant players in this tournament. Both of them are national champions in their respective nations. Actually, a lot of people in this tournament are national champions in their nations. I believe Wasim has won nationals in Pakistan 7 times. And all 5 guys on the U.S. team have won at least one national title as well. So for Moise here, as I mentioned, the 2 7-letter words are Animato and Amation, and they play pretty nicely. Probably don't want to play that one because of the double letter score right next to the vowel. I would probably prefer Animato because it puts the T there. Is there anything else with this rack? Nothing that I'm seeing. Animator, Montaria. Oh, Animato there. Okay, so Moise opens the triple-triple, perhaps unnecessarily, but I'm sure that was a strategic choice for one reason or another. Ooh, but he's going to give back a giant play to Conrad. Conrad has a Yod for 46, and I would imagine that's going to come down pretty quickly, unless there's an even better play like that in the same spot. But, 46 plus is going to be a very strong turn for Conrad, and he shuts down that triple as well. So maybe a slight advantage in this game for Conrad so far, but it is still a long way to go for sure. Yeah, so to those who are asking about the pairings, the rosters you see on your screen are actually not in order of how they're playing in round 1. Actually, in round 5, they're going to play in that order. So it'll be Wasim, Conrad, Moise, Jesse, etc. in round 5. The matchups in round 1 are as follows. We've got Wasim versus Dave, Moise versus Conrad, Imad versus Jesse, Hassan versus Austin, and Sohaib versus Will. Basically, the way it works is if you are the 1 seed for Team A, in this case Wasim, you're going to play the bottom seeds in order. So Dave is 5, Will is 4, Austin's 3, etc. And then Conrad's the 1 seed, so they play at the end. Which really says a lot about the strength of this U.S. team, that Dave Wiegand is one of the best players in the world, is their bottom seed. But that is just the way things go when you're playing the U.S. They've got a very deep roster. I'm being asked for predictions for today. I'm going to say somebody wins 13-12, and I'm going to cop out and not tell you who. Yeah, these are just 2 extremely strong teams. If I pick one of them to lose, I'm just going to look foolish, so I'm not going to do it. But yeah, 13-12 somebody. We've had a lot of 13-12 matches already, especially in the playoffs. Once you get down to these great teams, everybody puts up a fight. Nobody goes down easy. I believe it was Canada knocking out Ireland 13-12. India beat Australia 13-12. And then yesterday we had India beating Canada 13-12. So that entire half of the bracket was all 13-12 matches, as tends to happen when you get 2 great teams like this. So I'm going to go ahead and pick another 13-12 game. Ooh, arteriales. Yeah, that's not a word. Okay. Arterial does take an S. Okay, but not an ES. Got you. So yeah, no actual bingo here. Epigials not being a word, as has been mentioned in the chat. What can you do in this position if you are Conrad? Doesn't seem like there's any great scoring spot on the board to take advantage of. But after the bingo of arterial, you might want to consider keeping the board open. A play, I don't think payee is a good idea. That just gives back too easy of a triple. But something like that that keeps the board nice and open is probably to your advantage now, given that you've got a slight deficit you're working with here. You could play Peach and just open this side of the board a little bit. 21 points, not a great score, but I don't know if you're going to score very much more than 21 with anything really in this position. Not a lot of appealing stuff to work with here for Conrad. Both players playing pretty quickly, as they are both skilled at doing. I have played many a game with Conrad where he's played at a fast pace, and Moise as well. Okay, so it's going to be a pay. That's a nice way to score pretty well. 27 for Conrad, keeping a so-so lead of Siege, S-I-E-G-E. And a tough rack for Moise here with a little bit too many consonants. Can't quite bingo with a rack like this, and you kind of have to play off these T's and try to score a little bit. You could play something like Intort for 21 if you want to play off a lot of these tiles. Or you could maybe look for a fishier option as well if you want to keep some of the good stuff. Not easy to do that, though. People are saying they like Intort. Okay. Jeremy in classic Jeremy form, calling out phonies, as I would totally do if I were on his stream commenting, so it goes both ways. A suggestion of Tot. I'm wondering in what spot Tot should go. I'm not seeing a great one. Like, I'm not going to play Tot for 10 points here. It's 10 points. Definitely in this position, if you are Moise, you want to keep a little bit of pressure on scoring-wise, and don't just fish for the sake of fishing. In a close game like this, every point counts. But yeah, it's a tough rack here. Hard to score much of anything. As far as I know, Intort is the best option in terms of putting some points on the board. So, tough position here, but I think, as far as I know, there's nothing as good as Intort. The fishing options are just not that fishy. The bingo prone leaves are just not quite bingo prone enough to be worth it. You might as well score what you can while you can. At least if you ask me. I suppose you could play Pot. That's 20 points and keeps a little bit more of the rack, but ANRTT is the kind of lead that can turn disastrous if you don't draw vowels. Really, any lead you keep here is going to be dependent on drawing an E, which is, possible but not guaranteed. If you draw, two more consonants to ANRTT, or even like a clunky consonant-vowel combo, like an O and another consonant, like it's just not going to be that great a lot of the time. Intort is, more guaranteed to leave you a balanced rack, and it's going to score somewhat decently as well. So it looks like Moise has chosen this turn to use a whole bunch of his time. He was playing very quickly the turns before this one, although I guess a lot of his turns were pretty easy. He pretty quickly played off to J on his first turn with Jug for 27, and then Fib was an obvious, score well, balance the rack with a 35-point score, followed by the two bingos. This might be the first position in this game where he's had to really think, and he is definitely taking his time to do so. Close game, 197, 193. Definitely can't afford to have a bad turn here and let Conrad seize control of this game. These tough racks where there's no big star play, there's no bingo, and you've got to really find the best intermediate option are often quite tough. So Moise does choose Pot for 20. I might have slightly preferred Intort, but they're both pretty strong. And quickly, Conrad comes back with Guide for 28, G-U-Y-E-D. And indeed, it is two consonants for Moise, but they're not necessarily bad consonants. He's got the Z, which can score well. There's an obvious spot for the Z right here. Just play off the one tile for 42. I think that's not bad. You also have options here at I9, but they require burning your only vowel. Hard to imagine that being better. So it seems like playing off the Z here is going to be the choice. But maybe there's something else worth considering. Still a close game, 221, 217. Oh, so he's going to play intact, which is interesting. It sets up a second spot for the Z now. He'll have a leave of, what is it, ZR? Interesting. So now he's going to have multiple ways to use that Z, and a little bit more of an open board with some floaters to play through. Not really, though. They're not great floaters. Intact, though, blocked a play of Ugly Fies through the eye, so a very clutch bingo blocking play for Moise, whether he realizes it or not. Well, he doesn't realize it, of course. So for Conrad, not having the eye is tough, but he's going to play through the rack with Fug for 27 points, keeping EILS. And now Moise dumps the Z, and it's back to Conrad. So after the Z play for Moise, it's going to be a decent lead, 38 points in Moise's favor. With Conrad on turn holding quite a few vowels, hard to play through those. Yeah, unfortunately, Fuglies is not a word. It does take the T, though, once you play it. So, with a rack like this, you're often looking for a spot to play a word like UI, you know? But that's terrible. 7 points and just exposes a giant triple. Can't do that. There's got to be a play like that, though, that's decent. At least you would think there's got to be one. I'm looking at this spot here, but there's nothing that quite... Like if eat were a word, that would be amazing, but, you know, it's not. So Liu for 20 points. And now it's back to Moise, who has a rack of noshers. Does he know that arterial takes an S? That is not easy to know. I wasn't sure of it myself. But if he does know that, he can play noshers in line 11 for 79 points. So this is where knowing your hooks on words can be really game-changing, because that looks like it is clearly the best play, but if you don't know arterials, it is tough. Oh yeah, also Senhors is a word. Ooh, Huber mentions in the chat that Will has played a natural bingo of Xanthism. That is very cool. We'll definitely hop over to Will's game if it's still going on after this one. Sounds like one to check out for sure. Okay, so Senhors does come down. Nicely done by Moise. Yeah, Noshers would have also been fine. And a rack of worries for Conrad, but it looks like he's going to have no worries. So he's going to play Auri instead, so we've got no place for the bingo. And that's going to make this a 61-point game in Moise's favor. And Moise now has the Q, but it's not that bad of a Q. There's ways to play it off. You could play QAT here, get rid of two consonants, and block some floaters for bingos, not all the floaters for bingos. This is going to be a tough game to shut down the board. You know, you've got this wide open space on the right side of the board, this wide open space on the bottom. You can't really block both if you're Moise. You are only hit by one bingo, 61 points. And you know that Conrad is a threat to hit you with a bingo soon. You can't really block everything. All right, so he does play QAT, and Conrad has the second blank, but he's got the X and some weird stuff to go with it. So I guess the objective here is to play off the X and try to bingo next turn. There are definitely options. You can play something like Socks for 33. Something like that would be pretty reasonable. It would be ideal to like open more spots to bingo, but I don't think that's really feasible here. I feel like Socks is the play that kind of makes intuitive sense, just to score, balance, and try to bingo soon. You'll have NRS blank. The E and the I will obviously be very strong tiles to bingo through. The T is also not impossible, or the C with the right vowel draw. I'm sure Conrad is looking at this pool right now and looking at the balance of consonants and vowels, and it's not great for him. There's 21 total tiles unseen to him, and I believe 13 are consonants, 8 are vowels. He would love it for the other way around. It's not probable that he's going to draw multiple vowels here, but he's going to have to give it a shot. So he chooses Knox, keeping RSS blank. And it looks like Moise has a bingo of barn-like, and it comes down right away. So big swing there, as Conrad can't get the bingo down and Moise can. So it's going to be over a 100-point lead now in Moise's favor. So we can probably move along here. It's impossible for Conrad to bingo twice, and he is down by over 120. So looks like a likely win for Moise. Let's take a look at Will Anderson. We heard there was a really cool bingo on his board. If we go over to Will and Sohaib, it looks like a big win right now for Will, 480 to 318. Yeah, Xanthism from the X. Wow. Yeah, just recapping the moves in this game. Wow, Will had dew point for 102. That was a double-double. And then he drew tryouts right out of the bag with the blank T. Played off Brute for one bad turn, and then got Xanthism for 122. We've seen a lot of 120-point bingos from Power Tiles. We saw Mesquite from Tony Leah. We saw... What was the other one yesterday? I can't remember. But there have been a lot of big bingos like that in this tournament. So it looks like a win for Will is likely here for the U.S., and a win for Moise is likely for Pakistan over Conrad. So we've got a likely 1-1 score in the match so far. We'll take a quick look at Jesse and Imad. Looks like a close game here. Imad on your left, Jesse on your right, and with Liam for 28 points, it looks like a small lead now for Imad, and it's Jesse with a minute and a half on his clock, 9 tiles in the bag. He's got to play quickly here. Flaxius, yeah, that's the other crazy big bingo we saw. Thank you. Looks like some fireworks on this board as well. A triple of optional. That came down. Oh no, that was not a triple. It was an extension of something. Optional was 30 points. Oh yeah, Syed played option for 27 and then added the AL for 30 more. So a 24-point play of Diva from Jesse, who's now got a minute and 6 seconds on his clock. Imad leads by 12, 6 tiles in the bag. He plays Frugal, just blocking a bingo lane and leaving 1 in the bag. Not a big score, though, only 14. So Jesse's down by 26. If he can find a reasonable way to go out in 2 and score well. There's 1 tile in the bag, so he's got to play 8 tiles total to go out in the next 2 turns. Hard to do with the 3 R's on his rack. That makes it pretty difficult. If there's a way to play off a lot of them, I don't know. It's not easy. I suppose one option is Drearer, but I don't see that ever winning. You're just opening up a big spot for your opponent to hit you with something. You know, Devo or Wino. Yeah, that's going to hurt. Yeah, this is tough. You want to play off multiple R's. Oh, Jesse plays 1 tile. He plays racks for 10, and he's got 8 seconds on his clock. Time pressure is a beast. Yeah, not sure if racks is something Jesse actually thought was a good idea, or if he just panicked and played something with 8 seconds on his clock. But in any event, racks comes down, and for Imad, it's now a 16-point lead. And he's just got to go out in 2, it looks like. I don't believe Jesse has a bingo or really anything that's that scary he can hit Imad with. Looks like we do have one final result in, and it is a win for Dave Weekend over Wasim Khatri. So the first win of the match goes to the U.S. Let's go ahead and put that on the scoreboard. We have one game that is officially in, and the others will start trickling in shortly. U.S. 1, Pakistan 0 with the win for Dave Weekend. So with the games we know of right now, it's probably going to be, well, assuming that Imad finishes this one off, it's going to be 2-2. And I don't yet know about the result of Austin's game. I have no rooting interest in this match. I just want to see a really close one with a dramatic finish. And so I'm rooting for every round to go 3-2. So far I'm happy. Oh, Marlon in the chat points out red card. Nice World Cup themed word. Oh, looks like Aditya in the chat says that Moise did get the win over Conrad, so I'll go ahead and update the score, make it 1-1. We've had mostly close matches throughout this playoffs. There was just one lopsided win in the U.S.'s favor last round over Singapore. Other than that, it's been a lot of 13-12s and 14-11s. Looks like we have a final score for Sohaib and Will, and that is officially a win for Will. I'll go ahead and mark that up. And looks like we've got a finish coming up here between Jesse and Imad as well, with Imad getting the win over Jesse. So that's going to make the score 2-2. And we will go and check in on the final game that remains undecided in this round one, and that is between Austin Shin and Hassan Hadi Khan. And it's a close one, 427, 417. So the winner of this game will put his team up 3-2 after round one. So far we've had wins for Dave and Will for the U.S. and for Moise and Imad for Pakistan. Looks like in this game, Austin has 8 minutes on his clock, and he does have the lead, but he's got BTEEST against his opponent's very likely to go out rack of IX. Looks like IX goes here for, what's that, 33 points. And is there a second spot where the X can do a lot of damage? I mean, I see things like ticks for 20. But in any event, you got to score enough to overcome a pretty strong X play from your opponent. Not easy to do. This might be a close win for Hassan. We'll have to see. I'm not seeing a fantastic scoring option for Austin. Yeah, ticks under fans. That's right. I think that's 33, right? 20, 24. Yeah, 33. So if you assume that Hassan's going to get to 440 plus some tiles off your rack, you got to score quite a bit here with this rack. I'm just not seeing that much. So betted is a word. You could do betted here. That's 23. That puts you at 450. Okay, that would win. That would win 450 to 442. That would be an 8-point win. Okay. So I think Austin does have this one, but he's got to just not screw up here and not let Hassan get a bigger X play, not play a phony. Just play a reasonably high scoring word, and I think he does have this one in the bag. Yeah, ticks is 33. So that would put Oh, that would put Hassan at 450. Oh, my bad. Math is hard. That's so 452. I think actually Betted loses by 2. It'd be 452 to 450, right? Jeez, math. I wonder if Austin sees that and is like desperately looking to find something better. No, he does play Betted, and I think it does lose by 2, doesn't it? Wow. Austin went down to 5 seconds on his clock, looking for a better play, and Betted was all he had, I think. So for Hassan, just double checking your math, making sure it wins, and yeah, it does. Final score of Hassan 452, Austin 450, and a dramatic win for Pakistan in round one. They're up 3-2. Boy, that was a close one for sure. I wish we got to see the whole game. So Pakistan takes the lead, 3-2. Let's take another look at the matchup screen and show you all the individual games here. In round one, we had Wasim versus Dave. That was a win for Dave. If I could just find the button for that game. Bear with me. So that was a win for Dave. We had Moise versus Conrad. That was a win for Moise. We had Imad versus Jesse. That was a win for Imad. We had Hassan versus Austin, which we just saw. Hassan won by 2 points, 452 to 450. And we had Sohaib versus Will, which is a win for Will. So the U.S. falling behind 3-2 so far in this match with 20 games of Scrabble still to go. Long way to go. U.S. can definitely come back. And let's take a look at who's playing who in round two. It's going to be Wasim versus Will, Moise versus Dave, Imad versus Conrad, Hassan versus Jesse, and Sohaib versus Austin in the second round. Looks like some of those games are happening already. Let's take a look at who is Moise playing. Okay, we got Moise versus Dave. And pretty slow start here. Both players just getting started. 60-34 with an early lead for Dave. And Moise has played off the... Oh no, Dave played off the cue, sorry. Nice. Jeremy says that Hassan found the only winning play. So I'm guessing that Betted was the best play for Austin because losing by 2 is the best he can do. So let me just quickly recap what happened in this game. This was Dave to go first. He opened with Blimp, and it's a couple of low-scoring plays for Moise so far. Waif was 18 and Bengo was 16, so Moise trying to get some points on the board here. He does have the X. It looks like he can definitely play a decent scoring word here. He's got... wait, no, XI doesn't play because Roman numerals are not words. He can't play II. What does he have then, huh? One of those racks that looks promising, but what is the actual play that he has? I'm not sure. Quite takes hooks of a D and an S, but no R. I was hoping he could play like Xeric and Quiter, but that is not a thing. Yeah, this is a tantalizing rack. Looks pretty strong, but I'm not seeing a fantastic option for him, for Moise. Scrabbler27 says Brux. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. Brux would keep CEIS, a fairly strong leave. Of course, the R makes CEIS a lot stronger, but you can't really play off the B and the X anywhere now, can you? Yeah, Brux would score pretty decently. 27, keeping ices. Not bad, not bad. Looks like all 5 players have begun their round 2 action. If you're just joining us, it is 3-2 Pakistan so far. Long way to go. I think for a lot of the U.S. players, it's a matter of, waking yourself up fully. I know that Conrad and Dave especially, living on the west coast of the U.S., were not thrilled with this time slot, 8 a.m. their time, but they are, I'm sure, drinking their coffee, waking themselves up, and they'll be good to go soon enough. Dave had a win in his first round against Wasim. Moise also had a win in his first round against Conrad, so both players 1-0 today. Pakistan undefeated throughout this Virtual World Cup. They are 4-0. They cruised through their group in pool play of this tournament, beating Nigeria, then South Africa, then Australia. And in the first round of the playoffs, they beat Malaysia pretty handily as well. So, not pretty handily, I think it was 14-11. They beat them, though. Wow, seeing somebody mention bruxism is a word. That's cool. But no bruxist or bruxish. Okay. Yes, you could play escribe, keeping just the X. That is a word, I suppose. Don't know why I want to do that, but that is an option. um, yeah, I think I like the suggestion of Brux. I'm not seeing anything much better. The S is pretty useful here because you got this big hook on Karma, this big hook on Quite. Whatever S hooking word you make in the future is going to score pretty well. So we've seen Moise has a way of playing very fast and then slowing down for one key turn. We saw that turn against Conrad last game where I forget what he did now. What did he do? But he had one slow turn versus the other fast ones. All right, so he chooses cribs, holding on to the X. Very interesting. And for Dave, it's a whole lot of vowels. And he plays Agenesia. I believe that's the only bingo, so that's going to be a pretty clear play for him. And it looks like Moise has drawn a good play with the X. I see Xerus right away. That's 56. Might even be something better than that. So Moise holding on to the X for an extra turn. It looks like that's going to pay off for him. Nicely done. I don't think there's anything other than Xerus. But Moise is definitely taking his time here. Doesn't want to miss anything. He's now down by 83, so he wants to definitely score enough to stay within striking distance here. I don't think there's going to be anything else like Xerus, though. Actually, Vernix is pretty good. It scores 48. 48 with the lead of US or 56 with INV. That's close. Of course, Vernix gives back easy scores. Like really any word at all here is going to score, 40. So you don't love that if you're Moise. Still seems like Xerus is the play, but take your time, think it over. We are about halfway through the game with 54 tiles left unseen. And Moise has used about half his time, so I guess that's right on track. Xerus does come down, and Dave's got a little bit of an awkward rack, but he does have the Z-bomb, so something like Zin or Zit seems pretty straightforward here. Maybe Zin. There's 4 T's and 3 N's left. Maybe Zit for that reason. Also, UN has decent synergy. Both Zit and Zin have a lot of hooks, so neither of them is ideal, but one of them is probably coming down here as Dave is going to score an easy 63 and add to his lead here over Moise. It's a great point from Aditya in the chat that if he had played Vernix, Dave would have had nothing. What are the odds of that? He's got no A, no E, no O. So Dave chooses Zin, keeping LUTV as his leave, and it's back to Moise, who's got the J now. Scoring never stops, in the words of one of the players in this match. So for the J, let's see here. Looks like not a fantastic option out there for Moise, but I'm sure there's some way to score a little bit. And yeah, Zin does block the J that Moise would have had in that same spot. So definitely a clutch tempo advantage here for Dave. Although he leads by more than a tempo advantage. He's up by a bingo plus now. 219 to 129. Oh, I'm seeing Virino in the chat. Very nice. Virino goes here with all of the overlaps. 43 points. Holding on to your J for additional scoring next turn. That is very, very nice. If Moise spots that, I'm sure he knows it's the play. But that is a tough ask, board vision-wise, in a game where Moise is already kind of, getting a little bit low on time. Got to speed up here. And Virino is a hard word to find unless you're going to slow down and really look everywhere. He does fight it. Very nice. 43 points for Moise. And it's back to Dave, whose rack remains fairly awkward here. He can play through it, though. He's got a Volgo for 28. But that opens a big old triple there. And we, of course, know that Moise has the J. So it's not to Dave's advantage to play Volgo here, that's for sure. He could just play Gov, which is a little bit safer. Shuts down bingos in line 13. And keeps an okay LOUT leave. Dave generally not afraid to play a little bit offensively, but in this situation where you are basically up by a bingo, you really want to keep the board under control. I would go for a play more like Gov, sorry, than a more board opening choice. He does choose Gov, and now it's back to Moise, who has, it looks like, nothing too great for his J now. He would have had Judo if Dave had given him the vowel there, so good restraint from Dave to not give him that. Virino is a sick play. Nice pun. So the J and a lot of vowels for Moise. A little bit tricky to play through this one. What can he do? What can he do? Doesn't seem good for him. Not a lot of hooks he can use on this board. He doesn't have any of the letters to go on Zin. There's a T hook on Woe, but not like you're not going to play Dote or anything. There's just not a lot of places to put things on this board if you're Moise, and you have 4.5 minutes now. Dave with 10.5. So Dave with the advantage on the scoreboard and the clock. Only one U left, so drawing something like Saju from the S is going to be hard to do. Yeah, this is just tough all around. There just isn't much. Both blanks still on scene, so we could see some late fireworks, but I think that, Dave's done a decent job here of keeping the board under control. There's not a lot of great ways to, pry it open and keep scoring in the process. So for Moise, it's going to be hard. You might have to sacrifice points for opening the board, and then you'll fall even further behind. And there's no one in the world quite like Dave Wiegand at adding to an already strong lead by just continuing to score points. The man is an offense machine. Dave's also pretty comfortable playing fast when he needs to, and for Moise right now, time is going to be a problem. Oh, Andrew in the chat mentions Sloged or Sloyd, however that's pronounced. There are 3 L's, so that's interesting. You could go for Sloyd. Yeah. I see Weybin in the chat just getting all the bad ideas out of your system. I like that. Just, spit them out. Dojo. Interesting. Maybe you're talking about Dojo here to open this part of the board. Oh, he does choose Dote. Okay. Not a great scoring play, but on this board, what are you going to do? It's not easy. Let's see here. Dave's got the Y. Just something like Oye would keep the board nice and closed and score 27. That seems pretty good. For Dave here, no urgency to open the board or anything like that. Just keep on scoring and balancing, and you should be fine. Something like Oye seems pretty reasonable. It's going to be very hard for Moise to open the board in a way that scores well and outrun whatever Dave does, because Dave is going to keep putting points up. No Bengal, that is a proper noun. And it's a good point by Jeremy that it's hard to block the hook of the S on Virino. It's pretty likely that whoever gets an S or a blank will eventually have a way to bingo inline 15 there. And that might be the best path into this game for Moise, is to hope for a play like that. Dave taking his time. I'm sure he realizes at this point that he likes the board closed just the way it is, and I think he just wants to score well without opening anything. That's kind of the objective here. If I were in his shoes, I would have played Oye pretty quickly, just to put up some points and continue to pressure Moise on the clock. But Dave is playing a little bit more methodically than I would here. And I don't know if he's thinking about Oye but trying to find something better, or if he has another option in mind, but we'll see what he does. He does choose Oye, okay. And now Moise has the J and the K, and he plays Skull quickly for 42. So that's the kind of play Moise wanted, is a play that scores well and opens the board. He's now within 43 points, is a little bit closer, and there's open floaters, the A and the L on the bottom of the board, so for Dave, what looked like a pretty easy win is now not quite so easy. It's going to get interesting from here, as Dave has another rack that's a little bit awkward but does have some scoring potential, just like his last couple. There's only one bingo on this board total, and is a fairly low scoring one of Edgenesia. Both players have fought through some awkward racks, but Dave's have been higher scoring on the whole than Moise's have. Yeah, both blanks are still in the bag. And then, you know, it's pretty balanced bingo prone stuff. The J is still out, but we know that it's on Moise's rack. 2 H's for Dave. What to do with those H's? I would not advise a play like, Oh, health, very nice. 45 points with all the overlaps as well. That is very, very pretty. Both players making some great high-scoring overlap plays. We saw Virino for 43 come down earlier from Moise. Now health for 45. And for Dave, it's an 88-point lead. And the urgency is building now for Moise to bingo soon. He's still got that J. He's got JA, but that really shoots himself in the foot. He needs to keep that area of the board open. I don't know if he can play that. It is 36, though. He could play JA here for a 29, which kind of keeps more of the board open. Both blanks are still out there. 23 tiles unseen. Oh, it's pointed out that Jalfrezi is one tile off. Yeah, just fish the E, draw the blank. There you go. You can fish away the E with Een as a diversion. You know, let Dave play there on the left side, and then you take Jalfrezi at the bottom. Yeah, I'm kidding. That's not a good play. For Moise, a good play here is to play anything at all and fast. You are down to 1 minute and 20 seconds, and you got to do something. Like I said, I would leave the bottom of the board open. I would play something more like a jaw that doesn't close anything that you need. It's not ideal. Okay, Hefe, similar play. Oh, 39. That's more than similar. 39 is a good score. And for Dave, he doesn't have anything that punishes Moise too badly in that spot. There's no like heavy consonant like the W or the Y. He is a Y off from rotundly. He has rotund L. Yeah, Hefe scores more than I thought too, Cesar. 39. Who'd have thunk it? Yeah, so with that play, Moise pulls to within 49 points, and I mean, he is really just one bingo away. We know that he kept what, AIR? With 2 blanks out there, AIR is pretty strong. Most of the tiles in the bag are fairly bingo friendly. You don't love the W or the Y here, but other than that, the rest of the bag is good. It's a fairly balanced consonant to vowel. Looks like 10 vowels, 14 consonants, and 2 blanks. It's not bad. Ricky in the chat suggesting rodent. That's not bad scoring wise. Interesting question is whether you want to open another floater in this tee to play through. I think if you're Dave, you'd rather block bingos than open them, but that is not easy to do. I'm not really sure if there's a play in this area of the board that's worth doing. Like, it would be great to block, but how in the world are you doing that? It is not easy. So he does choose rodent, and Moise with under a minute to go now. Looks like no bingo. Tough rack for Moise. Looks like Weirand. So Wad keeps EINR, and it's back to Dave. Ahead by 52. CILRTUY. Yep, S blank blank still on scene, as Ricky points out in the chat. No 7 or 8 letter bingo here. The only anagram for this rack with an 8th tile is crustily, rustically with an S. 2 words there. Interesting conclusion to be sure. Aditya suggesting culty and yen. Yeah, that's a pretty good score. Doesn't give back too much. The C is nice and blocky. That'd be 44 points. It would put him up by almost 100. It's going to be tough, even with a bingo, for Moise to come back after that. Other benefit of culty is it leaves 6 in the bag, which means Moise can't possibly bingo twice. And if you go up by 100 and your opponent can only bingo 1 time, that's going to put you in pretty good shape. Yeah, it looks like culty is agreed upon in the chat. Yeah, 9-timer or bust, says Jeremy after culty. Yeah. You better pray that that W works out for you. You know, there are 2 blanks and a bunch of E's to go with your IR leave. It's not bad. W in 3rd position. Yeah, it's not great. In fact, I can't name any words right now, but I'm sure that they exist. I'm sure Dave is thinking about whether he needs to block bingos here, but it's hard to block bingos in a situation like this because if you block the wrong spot, you can lose. Wow. So Moise does have a blank, and he's got a pretty decent looking rack to go with it. I don't see the triple triple right away. There might not be one. And Moise has 19 seconds as well. So he's going to play Rainiest pretty quickly. Nothing through that W. Windshreer didn't fit. Well, interesting factoid from Lucas that W is worse only to JQKXZ in the third position. I believe that. And so Dave plays Woodier pretty quickly, and Woody's going to be very, very low on time here. He'll just play off his final tile, and it will be a win for Dr. Bing. Gasp for 40 comes down with 1 second on Moise's clock, and Dave plays out. So that's going to equalize the match. It was 3-2 Pakistan, and now it's going to be 3-3. And we'll take a quick look at the other games that are going on in just a moment. Let me just update the scoreboard for you guys. And now let's mosey along. Let's see who else is playing. We've got Will against Wasim, and Wasim is winning big there. We've got Jesse against Hassan Hadi Khan, and Hassan is winning big there. And we've got Austin also losing pretty big here against Sohaib. So a big round here for the Pakistanis. It looks like Conrad got a win over Imad. So I'll go ahead and mark that one up as a sure win for the U.S. because that one is going final. But the other matches all look good for Pakistan. So this could be 6-4. We'll see. Oh, after the bingo, Austin's going to make it close. Okay, so Austin plays Satyrs for 80 points. And we're headed for a good endgame here. DEGOPRS. What can Sohaib do here? He's ahead by 1 point. So you got to worry about the queue here. Yeah, people saying in the chat that an out and two should win. I think that's correct. Yeah, Niqab is the Q play you've got to worry about. There is an open B on the right side of the board here, so Niqab is going to score 32 in that spot. But as long as you go out in two, I don't think you're going to lose here if you're Sohaib. Again, we believe that Will and Jesse are losing their games, so if those two go final, then Austin needs this one to make it a 5-5 even split so far. Otherwise, it'd be 6-4 Pakistan. Yeah, so Dodger is suggested in the chat. If you play something like Dodger, whoop, not like that. Dodger is 27, puts you up by 28 points. Niqab will put you down by 5, and then you just go out with your P and your S, which shouldn't be too hard. Poise here would do it. So that would be a fairly comfortable win, I believe. Unless I'm missing anything, but I don't think it's too complicated. So probably a win here for Sohaib. He does play Dodger. And we'll see if Austin has to think much or if he just plays Niqab pretty quickly. With a P and an S, I see the spot for Poise. Are there any other spots for a P and an S? You would think it'd be easy, but I don't see much. There's not a lot of open vowels to work with on this board. It's pretty tough. Oh, Spewer. Very nice. Didn't see that. Okay. So in that case, you do have 2 outs. Spewer is a word. Just checked it. Okay. Yeah, so you can't block. Yeah, you got to hope he misses. But the thing is, So he's probably not going to play Dodger unless he sees both words. Like you have to assume that he played Dodger knowing that he had an outplay. You need to scrabble more, not seeing anything. Welcome to the club. I need to play more too. I'm not seeing a lot of words either over the board. I am thankful for all of your help, that is to be sure. So Austin taking his time here. This could be two really tough losses in a row for Austin. He lost by, what was it, 2 points in the previous game, and could be a close loss here as well. So a tough start to his morning. It looks like Wasim Will has gone final, and Wasim has won. So I'll go ahead and mark that one up as a win for Pakistan and a 4-4 tie in the match score. Again, all I want today is a nice close match, and I think I'm going to get it. Oh, I was going to mark it up as 4-4, but let's go ahead and mark it up as 5-4, as Sohaib does find Spewer and does get the win. So it's going to be 5-4 Pakistan over the US. And let's just watch the conclusion of Will. Nope, just kidding. That was the previous round. I thought somebody was still playing. No, okay. Let's just hop over to the scoreboard then. I believe it's going to be 6-4 Pakistan. Let's confirm that with a look at the matchup screen, though. So we had Wasim versus Will, and that was a win for Wasim, I do believe. We had Moise versus Dave. That one was a win for Dave for the US. We had Imad versus Conrad. That was a win for Conrad. Oh, if I could just get the button to show up for Moise versus Dave, we could update that one for you. Sorry about that. That was, yeah, there we go. We had Hassan versus Jesse. That's the one I didn't catch the end of, but I assume that Hassan got the win. Let me just double check that. And yes, Hassan did get the win over Jesse. So that is another win for Pakistan. And then Sohaib versus Austin, we just saw Austin couldn't pull out that endgame, and that was another win for Pakistan. So the first round goes 3-2 to Pakistan. The second round goes 3-2 to Pakistan, and now the lead is 6-4 for Pakistan. And it becomes pretty imperative now for the U.S. to put together a strong round 3. Your matchups for round 3 are going to be Wasim versus Austin, Moise versus Will, Imad versus Dave, Hassan versus Conrad, and Sohaib versus Jesse. Feel free to share your thoughts in the chat on what we should watch. Looks like the first game to begin was this one between Dave and Imad, so we're going to watch that for now. But we can always mosey somewhere else later if you guys would like. Looks like a fun game, though. 3 bingos to open. Prelate from Dave, Lithate from Imad, and now Pagodite for Dave for a pretty strong score. Yeah, 74 for Prelate and 76 for Pagodite. Whoops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to minimize the game for you. And Diorites comes down. The 4th bingo in 4 turns. Yes, prelate means before late. It is very pre-late on the west coast of the U.S. right now. 9:04 a.m., where Dave and Conrad both are playing for the U.S. team. But they're doing well, despite the early start time. Dave is 2-0 in his games. Conrad's 1-1, and really Dave is the main guy keeping the U.S. in it right now. Down 6-4, but Dave has won both of his, and he's doing fairly well so far in this one. But Imad keeping pace with 2 bingos of his own. Yeah, 4 straight bingos ending in TE. That's crazy. Wide open board. I'm sure Dave is plenty comfortable on these boards. He has stronger word knowledge and stronger word finding ability than just about anybody on earth. So he plays pretty well in these situations. Seeing a question in the chat of when is the final. I'm not 100% decided on that, but my best guess is going to be a week from Saturday morning. So it's probably going to be Saturday morning my time in the US, so Saturday evening in India and Pakistan. But we will talk to the players, check out their schedules, make sure that works for them, and confirm within the next day or two. So Iguanid is the play. Very nice from Dave. So we've seen 5 turns and 34 tiles played. 1 tile short of the maximum. Wide open board if ever there was one. These boards are hard. You got to think about a lot of different factors. In this position, a play like Wish looks obvious. 53 points, but you're leaving this triple open. You're leaving this hook on Iguanid open. It's just there's a lot of stuff to worry about is all. So Imad does choose Wish. And that gives Imad the small lead here, 194 to 180 over Dave. But Dave has the first blank. The first blank! Hard to believe that all those bingos came out with no blanks. BCEEOW blank. That is interesting stuff for Dr. Bing. So this rack has no 7 or 8 letter words. I don't think there's going to be much here in the way of bingoing, but it's a nice wide open board to find some scoring plays on. Wave it in the chat, has all the phonies for us as usual. Be coward, very nice. What to do then, huh? You can't really take this spot. OW's or OT's not a word, and I guess you could play web, but that doesn't block the E through the triple, so that's not great. You might just not be able to block that very well. That E might just stay open. Could play web here for 32. This is tough. There's a whole lot of open stuff on this board, and you can't really block as well as you'd like to. Ooh, cobwebbed. Yeah, that might be the shortest steal for this rack. Beechwood, nice, Lucas. Finding all the 9s, I like it. Yeah, there's just not a lot of ways to block that line O at the bottom. It's just a difficult rack for that. I just don't know if it's worth, doing something. Like B is really weak. You're keeping cow and a blank. That's just it doesn't score very well either. Yeah, he chooses web. I don't blame him at all for that. You just got to kind of keep a reasonable leave. Score a reasonable score and hope for the best. So it looks like Imad will use the spot in all likelihood. He's going to play something like Mose for 45. So it's likely we're going to see... Oh yeah, we're losing for 42. Similar play. And now for Dave, it looks like a fairly likely bingo. Co-leader is the first thing I see, but I'm sure there's other options as well. Oh, wow. By Iguanid. Yeah, he could have played off the B and the E around Iguanid. That's very cool. Is that better than Webb, though? It doesn't score that much. 9, 10, 11. Is it 33? No, 39. Maybe that's better. Keeps what? EOW. I don't know. It's interesting for sure. Plus, it's cool. That's a good point. It is very cool. I am sure Dave knows the word. Actually, I'm not positive. He knows the TWL nines better than the cons only nines, but he still probably knows the word. So for Dave, he's down by 24, but he's going to bingo. Oh yeah, lozenges is also playable on this board. Lots of extensions. Very, very true. I don't believe anything plays from the H. You're not going to play shoelace. That's insane. Um, I don't think there's anything that great on this board. I don't think anything's going to play into the L. So I don't think you're going to hit any triples here. I don't think there's anything from the LA as a 9 into the triple either. Maybe you look through this R. Are there any like crazy overlaps? That's worth looking up. Escarole, co-relay. Yeah, I don't think these are going to work either. So yeah, it's a great looking rack, but I don't think there's going to be any monster bingos. You're going to score like a pedestrian 70 or so. Yes, Wibben. Dave is always looking for nines. He's always finding them too. Except for Biguanide. Dave has incredibly strong command of the 9-letter bingos. He studies them a lot. He finds them a lot. He plays them for a lot of points a lot. It's what he does. But in this particular position, I don't think there's going to be one to his benefit. I think just like a very simple bingo of co-leader might be best here. Unless I'm missing some. Yeah, like I said, just 70. Not going to be any giant scores, I don't think. Unless I'm missing something, let me know. Play shoelace, you coward. I love it. Yes, he does choose co-leader, and now a crazy rack for Imad with the J and the X. That's what happens when you bingo 4 times to open the game. Like, all the weird tiles come at the end. So, you play off all those A's and E's and I's, and then you draw the J and the X. Let's see here. Jomon for 42. Very nice. So Jomon makes it a tie score. 282 to 282 with a long way still to go. 31 tiles left. Still one of the blanks unseen. And both players battling some weird racks. I believe that Imad kept FRX, if I'm not mistaken. And for Dave, it's DOPTUUV. Not pretty for him. Well, let's see here what to do. Yeah, these guys are so fast. These guys are so fast. Imad more so than Dave, at least in this game. Raven says I'm old. Pretty sure you are significantly younger than about, is it half the US team? Actually, I believe you are younger than 2 of these guys, older than 2 at exactly the same age as one of them. I believe Wavin was born on the exact same day as one of the players on this US team. So Poodoo for Dave gets rid of those U's pretty nicely. And the weird stuff continues. Fax is a nice play for Imad, but it keeps QRRS, I think. That's rough. That Q might be a problem. Looking at this board, I'm seeing no spots for it. You guys are so good at finding phonies, it's insane. Aviatory, very nice. Not a word at all, but very nice. So ovary versus aviary. You play ovary, 27. Oh, he plays Odie for 46. That's better than all the stuff you guys were saying. So very nice score there for Dave, 46 points, and he takes the lead by 20. 347, 327. And Imad still struggling, still can't really do anything with that cue. It's going to be tough. Long way to go. 20 tiles still left. You can play something like work just to get rid of some consonants and score a little bit, but it's just, with no plan for that cue, it's hard. And he does play work, and Dave has the second blank as well. He has Miss Gave. I don't believe it plays. Yeah, no veganism, no nothing that's going to play, I don't think. Fish for lozenges. You could also play lozenges burning the blank. I don't think that's the right play, though. 51. Probably not worth it. Close game here. Dave's mindset is probably if you can just get one bingo, you can put this game away. And you might not want to burn your blank with something like lodges, what you can try to get a bingo instead. Oh yeah, a work is a word. So you can play something like VAG here for 32, keeping IMS blank. That looks pretty strong. And Dave does find it. Nice play. So at least Imad now has the I to go with that Q, and he does play QIS. Losing does take an S. I wasn't sure of it. And now, oh yeah, handisms is a word. So if Dave can find his bingo with a minute and a half on his clock, he's gonna be in good shape. He's looking for nines, says Weibin. Isn't he always? There's probably something. Okay. Anyway, he plays handisms for 92, and that should put Dave pretty comfortably ahead here. Imad finally rid of that cue, but awkward rack, and the blanks are gone, and he's probably going to have some trouble here. So a likely win for Dave, which is, of course, important because the U.S. is down 6-4 on the scoreboard. I guess handisms is a little bit risky. I mean, you're putting yourself up by how much? 97? Or 93? Yeah, it scores a lot. What are you going to do? Yeah, you're not playing Indemans, that's for sure. Seems to me like there's just not much to think about. Handisms is pretty clearly the play. And Corby comes down, and Davis drawn Oniers right out of the bag, but I believe there's no spot for that. Right? This doesn't fit. Nope, that makes multiple phonies. So for Dave, he is no longer worrying about Imad bingoing, unless he thinks that unfever is a word, which I don't think it is. I'll check it, just to be sure. No unfever. So really any reasonable out in 2 is fine here, and I'm sure Dave will find something. All 5 games still in progress, so we can definitely turn to another one after this. Could maybe check out Jesse for a change. Oh yeah, sun making iguanids. That's a pretty good score. Oh, scenery. That's also nice. Okay. So scenery keeps just the O. And it's a 99-point lead for Dave here with Imaj looking to make some sort of endgame play here to keep the game respectable for him. Um, looks like enough is probably the play. 51 points. Can't argue with that. I'm going to assume that Dave's got the win here, and we can move along. Well, might as well watch the end. Neff and then okay, and yeah, Dave does get the win. 521 to 446 is your final. Go ahead and mark that one on the scoreboard. It is no longer 6-4 Pakistan. It is 6-5 Pakistan. We got ourselves a close match. Let's check in on Jesse Dayfield. We haven't watched him very much. And okay, we got a good game here with Jesse and Sohaib. 331 to 304. And with Wawa for 32, Sohaib takes a small lead. 22 tiles in the bag, still a long way to go. Both blanks are gone. A lot of heavy point scoring consonants on the rack for Jesse. Jesse with an extraordinary amount of time left on his clock. Almost 10 minutes. Very impressive. Maybe he's finally learned his lesson. Nah. So you could play Kai, but that sets up the E, and that's pretty scary. Probably don't want to do that. I'm just looking for ways to play off a couple of consonants and score decently if you're Jesse here. Yeah, it's interesting. My audio didn't cut out. I'm just quiet. I'm just thinking about what plays he could make here, and I'm having trouble finding stuff. You can't hear me, right? Testing, testing. 1, 2. Yeah, I'm also trying to do data entry at the same time, so I'm kind of like, typing this person won this game, and I'm trying to look for plays and talk at the same time. You can hear me, but only when I speak. Well, that's weird. You should hear when I think also. So BCEKRVY, difficult rack for Jesse. I'm not seeing a great spot for a word like bevy. I mean, I don't love options like this. Bevy 24. I mean, CKR is an interesting leave. It's got some synergy to it. And that K, might come in handy in this spot at 3M. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe bevy is not crazy. Or maybe I'm missing a better spot for bevy. So, very close game. Jesse down by 5, and he's the one on turn. Looks like we've got a final score here between Conrad Bassabashard and Hassan Hadi Khan, and it is a win for Conrad. So another win for the U.S., and this match gets a little bit closer here. A moment ago it was 6-4, and now it's going to be 6-6. Very interesting. So that is Conrad with a win over Hassan. Is that what I said? Yes. So Conrad and Dave both doing well today. Dave has won all 3 of his games. Conrad is 2-1 in his. Those two guys right now keeping the U.S. in this thing. The other U.S. players kind of struggling a bit. Now the U.S. is 5-1 in games played by Conrad and Dave, 1-5 in the other ones. Someone in the chat saying Austin's 0-3. I think Austin's only played 2 games, but maybe I'm missing something there. Mike says, this is where Jesse burns all of his time. Yeah, I mean, this is where you should burn your time, right? Like, this is a hard position, and you don't want to play the wrong play here. It could really be a big swing. Oh, Austin's losing his 3rd game, I see. Okay. Yeah, rough day for Austin. He had 2 very close end games in a row. Lost by 2 in the first one. Lost the second one with a weird, like, KQY rack at the end. So, for Austin, it's been a tough morning so far, but he can soldier on. His team is still in the hunt for sure. Right now, we're tied 6-6. Jesse does choose Bevy. And, ooh, Moe's big out with Voivodes in his game. That's really cool. Thanks for that update. So a win for Moe's over Will. Interesting. Tough morning for Will Anderson as well. Yeah, the U.S. really leaning on Dave and Conrad pretty heavily to keep them in the hunt right now. So with another win for Moe's, we'll change the score again from 6-6 to 7-6 Pakistan. With 2 games left to play here in round 3. It is this one here with Jesse and Sohaib, and I believe it is, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Austin, who you said was losing his. Okay. So it's likely that Pakistan's going to have the lead in the match after round 3, regardless of this game. But for Jesse, you definitely want to get this one. I'm seeing a lot of potential for hilarious phonies in the chat with this rack. I'm going to refrain from saying them because it's a family chat, but you guys can do what you want. Unket, very nice play from Jesse, 37 points. And I don't believe that Sohaib has a bingo with this rack. It's nice and high probability, but it doesn't quite work. Can't fit the L for Gasolier. Can't fit the D for Disagree. Looks like none of the bingos work here for him. So for Sohaib, all of a sudden now you're down by 30 points. You got these 1-point tiles that don't score very well. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to come back. I'm not sure if you try to keep scoring and stay competitive that way, or if you really go all in on the bingo option. I'm not sure. This is not an easy board to bingo on. Not an easy board to score on either. It's just not an easy board. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of conversation about the 15-minute time control in the chat. 15 is definitely better for streaming. It's not fun for, for me or for you guys in the audience to be just kind of sitting there waiting for 10 minutes for a turn. I also just feel like because of the fact that the computer does all of the scoring and all the tracking for you, you have more time to think. So 15 on online game is, not so fast, but others disagree. I respect it. Looks like we're getting word in the chat that Austin has lost his game. Is that correct? Looks like, yeah, a win for Sohaib over Austin. Okay. So Jesse needs this one to keep the U.S. down by only 1. If I hop over to the scoreboard and change it again, it is now 8-6 Pakistan, and a win here for Jesse would make it 8-7. That would keep it nice and close. So for Sohaib here, this is a tough position. Like I said, I don't think there's a bingo. I don't think there's a great scoring option either. You got 9 tiles in the bag. The bag's a little bit awkward. Just, weird clunky consonants that, both F's and the J are out there. Mike is suggesting Gay at D8. Yeah, that's a thing you could do. Scores 14. Jeez, that's yeah. I don't know. This is tough. Maybe you should look for a way to open the board a little better than that. I don't know. It's not easy to do that. Yeah, this is just difficult stuff. Under 2 minutes now for Sohaib on the clock. A reg. Okay, I like that. It scores 27 and opens up that part of the board. But ooh, Jesse has factor. It's interesting. There's 5 tiles in the bag, so any play that hits, from D1 to H1 is going to empty the bag. I don't think you can play, like, it'd be great if, like, Triff for a word, right? 52 and leave one in the bag, but I don't think there's a word like that that fits. Um, yeah, that's tough. Suggestion of actor. I think you would play factor if you were going to play in that spot. Scores, a little bit more. Actor is 25 points and factor is 59. So, 59 is enough that you probably just have to do it, I think. And just, you're probably not going to get bingoed out on. It's a pretty awkward tile pool and a pretty awkward board as well. Factor probably wins. There's some disaster scenarios, I guess, but they're pretty unlikely. I think you're a good 98, 99% to win after factor, but that's just my back of the envelope math. Yeah, foliages, Philar. Yeah, you guys are finding some bingos. I'll give it to you, but yeah, not super likely. The thing about emptying the bag is if Sohaib's got a bingo, you're going to lose anyway. So you might as well empty it. I don't think the emptying's going to make the difference. Um, like if you don't play factor and you make some sort of like 4 tile play that doesn't score as much, you're going to lose to any bingo whether it empties or not. I think. So I would just say go ahead and play factor and just give him one shot to bingo and win if he doesn't. Jesse's got 2.5 minutes to think it over, which is an eternity in Jesse years. If he can get a 4 from the top, he can outscore some bingos. But what 4 is that, though? I don't see it. He plays Farsi, and it looks like no bingo. I don't see that Sohaib has anything. Yeah, I think it's going to be safe for Jesse here. So for Sohaib, there's not a lot of huge J hotspots either. You're just kind of not going to have much. Aji's comes down, and now it's just playoff if, and you're good for Jesse. And there's a nice spot for that as well. So a nice win for Jesse Day, and an important win for Jesse Day to keep the U.S. in the hunt here. 9-6 would have been a pretty bad deficit, but 8-7 means it's going to be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and change this on the scoreboard. We can assume this is probably going to be a win. I will double check once it's over for, no phony twos or anything. But let's take a look at our matchup. We had in round 3, Wasim versus Austin. And that... Wait a minute. Was there Wasim versus Austin? Is that right? Let me just quickly double check that. I'm wondering if we had the wrong pairings. I believe we were supposed to have Wasim versus Austin. Oh, just kidding. No, wait. Hold on. We were supposed to have Wasim versus Austin. And we Oh, we did. I think they played twice. They might have played a non-tournament game earlier today. I'm not sure. Okay, it looks like there was a win for Wasim over Austin. Okay. We had Moise versus Will, and that was a win for Moise. We had Imad versus Dave, and that was another win for Dave. He's 3-0 today. We had Hassan versus Conrad. That was a win for Conrad. And we had Sohai versus Jesse. Is that right? Yeah, that's one we just saw. And that was a win for Jesse that has gone final. 472 to 447. Well, in that case, it should be 8-7 to U.S. leads. Might have gotten some misinformation. I was told there was a win that there apparently wasn't. I think maybe it is 8-7 U.S. There was a win for Dave, a win for Conrad, and a win for Jesse, if I'm correct. Let me just double check that Conrad won his game. Yeah, Conrad did win against Hassan. Okay. I was misled at some point. It was actually 8-7 U.S. the whole time. Okay. Let's go ahead and change that. Jeez. I will double and triple check those scores as we go, but I'm pretty sure it's actually 8-7 US, not 8-7 Pakistan. And we are already underway in game 4 as I take way too long in my basic counting. And let's take a look at who's playing. We've got a game between Dave Wiegand and Hassan Hadi Khan with an early lead for Dave, 228 to 116. So Dave with a good chance to go to 4-0 on the day. Very impressive performance from him. Let's take a look at Moise and Austin. Looks like an early lead for Moise. Let's watch these two guys. Two good players. Looks like a good game so far. Haven't had a chance to watch too much of Austin and Moise yet. Oh, Pakistan was 6-4, so now they're 8-7. Is that right? So it was 3-2, 3-2. Oh, that's right. It was 6-4. Now it's 8-7. My bad. Okay. Let's change that back. Like I said, counting is hard. And I am still waking up. Okay. We're good. We're good. Pakistan 8, US 7. Pakistan won 3, 3, and 2, and those numbers equal 8. I'm with you. All right, so what to do here if you are Austin? Whole lot of heavy point scoring consonants. EHKNSWX. You know, I had kicks for breakfast this morning. I woke up kind of late, had to eat some cereal really fast before the stream. I ate some kicks, but that is unfortunately not a word. What is a word? This is tough. Not looking like there's much. Oh, okay. He's for 48. Good score. Interesting leave, but the score can't be argued with. That's good. All right, so Moise now up by 34. Tough rack, a lot of vowels. So those asking about the finals, I think we are likely to do Saturday, the 15th. That is more convenient for the India team that's already qualified for the finals, and more convenient for us on the Coco end of things as well. So likely Saturday, but we'll let you know. Aioli is the play from Moise, just kind of getting rid of some vowels there. And it's back to Austin, who's got the opposite problem, a whole lot of consonants. Still has kicks, and kicks is still not a word. Let's see here. Yeah, this is tough. Wex looks very good, I'm hearing in the chat. Wex. Yeah, you can play Wex. I think you're talking about here, right? Wex for 37 keeps CKNT. Maybe you can draw EII for akinetic. Get lucky. Yeah, so between all consonants and all vowels, I'll take all consonants every time. At least you can score some points that way. Austin with very consonant heavy rack so far in this game, but he scored 48 points for he's, burning his E. And now he can use his next E for another high scoring play. He chooses Tex. Similar idea, but keeps the W. Not sure if I like that. All 5 players have begun their round 4. So, yeah, IAMP is suggested. ABAMP is also, yeah, ABAMP looks pretty strong. You got a spot to play ABAMP for a pretty good score here. 30 points. Seems pretty good. You're not too far off from Bibimbap, which is delicious. But, yeah, you need to draw a B and an I. Yeah, you're not quite there. Let's see here. Yeah, Jeremy, I think you're right. I think Tex is a lot worse than Wex. It scores a tiny bit more, but that is not worth it. Why didn't Austin play Wex? It's a great question. But yeah, Aditya in the chat is correct. It's really been all Conrad and Dave for the U.S. team. Dave Wiegand is 3-0 for the U.S. Conrad Boucher-Bouchard is 2-1, so they're 5-1 in games that those two guys play, and what's that? 2-7 in games that they don't. So for Will, Jesse, and Austin, this is tough. You gotta get out of an early rut. I think Jesse had one of those 2 wins, and I think maybe Austin had the other one. Yeah. Tough morning so far. Oh no, Will had a win over Sohibs. Yeah, Austin is 0-3. Tough morning so far for Austin. He had some close games. So after Twank for 44, it's a small lead for Austin, and it's back to Moise's turn. Connor, the big lead right now, too. We heard that Dave was also leading, right? So sounds like the U.S. is going to be back in this match for sure. I am rooting for a 10-10 tie after 4. That makes for the most dramatic round 5 possible. That's what I'm hoping for. Just play Ovality now. You play Ovality for like, what, 13 or something? Well, I guess no, it doubles the Y, so it's more than 13. It's 17. Yeah, not bad. Twank takes a Y, right? Twanky? Yeah. So you could do, I don't know, Yil. That's 24. Oh yeah, Twank A is also a word, that's right. So yeah, lots of okay options, no great ones. I'm not seeing what's so right about Ovality, but I'm open to being convinced on that. It's just a matter of burning through tiles in a pretty favorable bag. There's a lot of good stuff to draw, both blanks, 3 S's out there. so the turnover is kind of nice, but I don't know. Yale is a pretty good score. There's probably other stuff that we're not seeing yet, huh? Actually, I don't know. This is a weird position. You also have Yale here, 23 points. Not that OTV is the best league ever. I don't know. So yeah, Yale is the choice, and it's underneath Euglena, not the Yale making Twanky. And now it's back to Austin, who's got kind of a clunker. ACF IITV. Really, Ovality was statically better than Yale. That's interesting. So you're giving up like 6 points to keep L instead of TOV. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Okay. I guess the L has pretty much neutral value, whereas TOV is pretty bad. All right, anyway, for Austin here, you'd love to have an E for effective, but you don't. I'm seeing Via. Oh yeah, Via plays up top. That's pretty nice. 25 points keeps CFIT, which could work out for you. Seems reasonable-ish. Also suggestion of VAC. Yeah, VAC here. So that scores 32. Scores quite a bit more. FIIT. You know, you're not going to bingo either way, and you're going to have decent swing potential either way. So maybe you should just take the points, and hopefully it will work itself out later. 32 is a nice score with this rack. Can't imagine doing much better. Tight game here. Austin on turn, down by 10 points. Both players fighting through some somewhat awkward racks here. There was an opening bingo of Euglena for 70 points from Louise, and really no chance of bingo since then. Not even close for either one of them. Seeing word in the chat that the U.S. is doing well so far in this round. 3-0. Looks like all the games are still in progress, but I would welcome any updates on the scores in the chat. Sounds like we heard that Dave and Conrad are both leading their games. Is that right? I'm not sure who else, though. Ooh, okay. Moise with a big play here. Outvote for 86. Very nice use of that. Okay. Those new two-letter words come in handy. I guess they're not that new anymore. They're still new to me. I'm seeing Fiats as a pretty strong option for Austin here. 48 points. That would put him pretty close, within 16 of getting back in the game. Still plenty of good stuff in the bag. A's, E's, O's, R's, N's, S's, one blank. I predict multiple bingos are still to come in this game. Ooh, Fidelista. Very nice. Getting an update that Dave won. That appears to be correct. It looks like a win for Dave over Hassan. Okay. Let's go ahead and mark that. So it was 8-7, and it's now going to be 8-8. This one is as close as can be. Looks like the other games are still in progress. Looks like Imad briefly disconnected and now he's back. Not sure what happened there. But he has resumed his game. Okay. So Moise bingos with the first blank and then draws the second blank. Very good turn of events for him. I don't think he's bingoing here. Oh yeah, forcedly would have played. What about off forcedly? What do you think of that? Good? No? 84 points. Yeah, so Austin needs a win here to not be 0-4. That's right. I'm sure after the way his morning's gone so far, the last thing Austin wants is like another really hard endgame where he's behind. Just a tough, tough morning for him so far. U.S. definitely still in the hunt, though. We have a final score from Will and Imad, and it was a win for Will. So the U.S. starts to pull ahead here. The score was 8-8. It is now 9-8 in favor of the United States. And for Moise, you really want to convert this one. And it looks like Conrad is technically still playing, but I will take a look for Conrad's game to go final. Meanwhile, Moise here. I don't believe he's got a bingo. I'm sure there's a way to score decently with this, though. Maybe just, Oi is 31. Not sure, though. Yeah, let's hold off on calling official wins unless they're actually official. I don't want to put any wins on the board that aren't totally overdone with. Even if there's a 100-point lead, let's just wait. Looks like right now there are still 3 games in progress, so the score on the board right now of 9-8 is accurate for now. So if Conrad's way ahead in his game, we will keep an eye on that. I'm rooting for a 10-10 tie score. I like dramatic finishes. So if Conrad does indeed win, then I'm pulling from Moise. And is it Sohaib in the other one? I'm not sure. These are 2 great teams. Like I was saying earlier, Pakistan, the only undefeated squad left at 4-0, and the U.S., the number 1 overall seed, and the best game record in the tournament at 63-37. 2 teams like this, you want them to go down to the wire with an intense finish, and right now, they're on pace to do so. So while I'm babbling, nice little exchange of plays here. Moise with 20 points for Coney, keeping DEF blank, and Austin scores well with Haj for 39. And now Diffuse blank. Oh boy, and it plays for a lot of points. Oh wow. Yeah, that's going to be 98. So Moise is in great shape now, assuming he finds that bingo, which is not very hard. He should get that one down. Yeah, the double-double is just a backbreaker here for Austin. It's going to be the best spot on the board to bingo by far. Oh, F-Fuse, even cooler. And Married Admirer. I don't believe those words are going to play. Dreamier doesn't fit. Boy, yeah, that's tough. Will, to answer your question, Dave Wiegand has the wins. He's 4-0. I think Conrad is going to be 3-1 if he wins his game. Austin does not have the wins. Oh, Will, you won your game. I didn't see that. Okay. Oh, just kidding. I did. You beat him on. I knew that. So we're still waiting on scores from Austin, Jesse, and Conrad. And we know that Conrad is winning his game. Tram ride. Very nice. I like that. Jam Rider. Very cool. You can play Disarmor, just going off the board by one. You can just play Disarmored. Maybe your opponent won't notice. Tough position for Austin here. He was in the game until Moise drew the perfect bingo to hit that double-double. The right placement. A nice high-scoring one, too, with the F. And now this one's looking like it's going to be all Moise. It's going to be an 0-4 day for Austin. So a tough position for Austin to be in here. Let's take a quick look at the other games. We have Jesse playing Wasim. Oh, and Wasim's leading this one. That's interesting. Okay. So if Wasim can get this one, we might have my 10-10 fantasy. If Wasim wins and Moise wins and Conrad wins, it'll be 10-10. Jesse down almost 100, low on time, has a bingo of Arcuated that goes one tile off the board, sadly. He plays through it with Kuta, and now, ooh, there's the second blank for Wasim. He's got bingos for sure, like Nauseate jumps out as an obvious one. So it's looking pretty good for Wasim. There is still that open V through the triple-triple, but, you know, unless Jesse has a bingo ending in IVE, it's going to be pretty tough to hit that spot. You want to go back? You want to go back to the Moise Austin game? All right, we can do that. No worries. I was just checking the other games. You know, just gotta check. Okay. So Austin plays Dream, and that puts him within a bingo. The Z is interesting here. Well, maybe it's not actually. So Moise holds on to the Z, plays Bigo for 29. So Moise up by 100. So we're likely to have a 10-10 tie score after this, I believe, assuming that Conrad wins for the U.S. and that Moise and Wasim win for Pakistan. All three of those games looking fairly likely to go in those directions. We could have a 10-10 tie score going into the final round, which would be just peak drama. We had a semifinal yesterday between India and Canada that was 13-12, decided at the very end. There was a win by Akshay Bhandarkar against Evan Borowski in the final game. Evan was one tile off from fishing for bingos like New Cells and Ultra Souls and just couldn't quite hit one. Ended up losing a heartbreaker, 13-12. And now for the U.S. and Pakistan, we have what's looking pretty likely to be a 10-10 score going into the final round, and definitely a great finish to come. I'm sure Dave and Conrad are fully awake now. It's about 10 a.m. now on the west coast of the U.S. And I'm sure those Pakistani kids who like to stay up late are doing just fine. I believe it is 10 p.m. where they are. Yeah, this is a rough position for Austin. Looking pretty much losing here. but we'll stick with it and see if he can pull out some kind of miracle. Looks like the other games are still going. Still waiting for final scores from Wasim and from Conrad. Nope, just kidding. Conrad has gone final. And Conrad's result is a win over Sohaib. So the U.S. 3-0 so far in the games that have gone final this round, but Pakistan leads the other two. I'll go ahead and update the scoreboard with that. It is 10-8 U.S., but don't get too excited, U.S. fans. It's probably going to be 10-10 shortly, barring something strange happening. But let me just get that centered. Sorry about that. So it's 10-8, but soon to be 10-10, we think. Waiting on final scores here from Moise, who is winning by a lot, obviously. And let's take another look at Wasim. And immediately as I clicked on their game, Wasim has gone final with a 472-346 win over Jesse Day. So we'll go back to Moise and watch him make it official. It will be 10-10. So we're just watching the final moves here, but we can go ahead and actually let's go to the scoreboard and change it from 10-8 to 10-10. Let me just make sure there's no. Actually, let's keep this one. Let's keep this one going for a second. There is an open triple. Maybe we'll see a phony plate or something. Ain't over till it's over, they say. Currently 10-9, but it will be 10-10 if Moise can just hold on. Yeah, Wavin points out that Darnest making odorizers would be a big score. One tile in the bag. Yeah, Natalie pointing out that you could just play hoop and just outrun any bingo. That's probably true. That's 39 points. It puts you up by 143. Is that right? Yeah, you'd be up enough. So Moise basically needs to not forfeit on time and not phony. And, oh, he plays phoner. How appropriate. And actually, that might block, yeah, it blocks everything but, like, antlers and odorizers, I guess. So this one's looking like it's going to be a win for Moise. Austin just has to bingo out, and he does. And there you go. So we got the dramatic finish that we wanted, right, guys? We have our 10-10 tie score, which is all I've ever wanted in the world, is a 10-10 match going into the end game for the U.S. and Pakistan. Two great teams and a great finish sure to come. Let's look at the matchups. In round 4, we had Wasim versus Jesse. That was a win for Wasim for Pakistan. If I could just click the button to open that window. There we go. We had Moise versus Austin, as you just saw. That was a win for Moise for Pakistan. We had Imad versus Will. That was a win for Will for the U.S. We had Hassan versus Dave. That was a win for Dave for the U.S. And we had Sohaib versus Conrad, and that was a win for Conrad for the U.S. So we had this match that began looking like it was going in Pakistan's favor. It was 3-2 Pakistan in round 1, 3-2 Pakistan in round 2. But now it's 3-2 U.S. in round 3 and 3-2 U.S. in round 4, and we are all knotted up, 10 games apiece. Your matchups for round 5 are the seeds playing each other in order. The 1 versus the 1 is Wasim and Conrad. The 2-2 is Moise and Jesse. And then it's Imad and Austin, Hassan and Will, and Sohaib and Dave. Happy to take your suggestions in the chat who you want to watch. I usually default to the 1 versus 1, which would be Wasim versus Conrad. But if there's anything else you guys want to watch, That'd be fine as well. Let me take a look and see who has begun playing in their final round. Looks like most of them have, including our 1 seeds. Let's observe as Wasim plays Conrad, and Wasim has the early lead. Okay. So a crucial matchup of the 2 top seeds in the final round, and Wasim Khatri got down Avowing on his opening rack for 78, and then Frowiest for 86. And Wasim has the early lead. Okay. So the 2 seeds are Moise and Jesse Day. They have not yet gotten started. The 3 seeds are Imad and Austin. They have also not yet gotten started. Ooh, Ambition comes down for Conrad. That'll make that 1 bingo lead disappear pretty quick. Yeah, he also had B timing available. Somebody pointed out in the Whispers on ISC. Another 4 bingo to start game. That's crazy, yeah. We've got Hassan playing Will in the battle of the number 4 seeds. It looks like that one has begun. And yeah, they're getting started. And it looks like an early lead for nobody. It's tied 86-86. And the 5 seeds are Sohaib and Dave. Dave's been pretty fast all day. Maybe he's gone pretty far along already. Oh, looks like pretty close early, but Dave has the early lead there. So looks like advantage US in this one between Dave and Sohaib. Advantage Pakistan as Wasim leads Conrad. This one can go either way for sure. We're going to have a close match. Feel free to share in the chat who you guys want to watch. Again, it is just 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 2s, and so on in this matchup. I'm probably going to default to the 1 seeds because they've got a pretty interesting game so far. Nice explosive, wide open board, but we can definitely check in on others later. I like in round 5 to watch the game that's going fastest, so I can always tune into the others after it's over and not miss the ending. Looks like Conrad and Wasim are most likely to finish their game early compared to the rest of them. So I'll stick with this one for a bit. Wasim with a small lead now after the bingo from Conrad. Up by 19 points. He's got the Z and the X. He's got some options for sure. He can play XI. That's 38 points. He probably wants to at least consider what he can do in this area of the board. Doesn't have that U for Yunks. Yeah, there's a lot of things that look interesting, but he's just kind of 1 tile off from them. You can play a Ritzy. 36 keeping RTX. Just open all the triples. Why not? I don't know. It's a weird position for Wasim. I'm just going to briefly tell all the observers they can watch this one on Twitch. Anyway, there's a lot of players watching this game on ISC. So Ritzy plays in the top spot up there next to Frowiest for a pretty good score. Ritzy for 42, and ooh, Wasim draws Excedras, which I don't believe is going to play, but he's going to have definitely some options here. Excedre is nice. So, is Excedre's phony? I'm sorry, I don't know anything. Excedre's is good, troll. Seeing in the chat a commanding lead for Dave Weekend. So that makes it all the more important that Wasim stay ahead in this one. Yeah, as always, but especially in round 5, feel free to update us in the chat on any scores that you see. It's good for us to have more information on the other games while we're watching this one. Is Excedre's new? It's a good question. Relatively new, says Paul. Okay. So for Wasim, definitely taking his time here. A lot of options. No one real standout, I don't think. You'd love to keep a nice bingo prone leave. But I don't see a great score with the EX. Like, you know, Wex for 25 is pretty weak. Oh, Zex is better. There you go. Okay. 35 points for Wasim and a lead of 241 to 183. Conrad battling some tough racks, but he plays Aun pretty quickly, just burning through some vowels. And Wasim is going to have Aroused. Outreads and outdares play. I don't think Aroused goes anywhere, but he does have the bingo. He does play Outreads for 72, and he's up by over 100 now on Conrad. So, tough spot for Conrad and for the U.S., but you hear that Dave is leading in his game, and so we could have a close finish still. Oh yeah, easily is a nice play there for Conrad, as Waven points out in the chat. I see Cesar in the chat is threatening to quit Scrabble. That is the first time Cesar has ever said he's going to do that, so that is really big news. You can just hear the sarcasm dripping from my voice, I'm sure. There you go. Go quit and build Macondo full time. I like it. Ooh, Will versus Hassan is tied. Okay, okay. $249, $249. Okay. So yeah, as Wayman mentioned, I think easily is a pretty good play here. It opens more floaters to bingo through, which you desperately need, and it scores decently. He's going to choose tie. Okay, 31. That's also pretty strong. And it's back to Wasim now. He's got the J. So Wasim will continue to score pretty well. Let's see here. Huh. Don't see anything great. Yeah, balanced racks indeed, but not... Oh yeah, Sojo looks pretty strong. Oh, or Jor. Okay, so Jor for 34 points, and now Ciliate. I see Silicate plays. It's only 64 points, though. And that might be the only bingo that actually works on this board. I'm not seeing a 7-letter bingo spot for Ciliate. So, yeah, Silicate does come down for 64, and Verdant, another, I believe, unplayable bingo. Yeah, no E for Aventrid that actually fits. There's ways to score well, though. Avant is 36 and opens more floaters to play with, so that's not bad. Actually, I suppose the bingo value of Avant is kind of neutral because you're blocking 7-letter bingos with opening 8-letter ones. So Wasim decently ahead here, but Conrad can still steal this one if you can, draw bingos quickly. There's also the Q out there, which is just a giant wild card. It could be a good Q for Conrad or a bad one for Wasim. Like, either way, the Q could swing this game one direction or the other. Yeah, Reavowing is an okay score, but I don't know if you want to keep ADNTV. I think I like Avant, but Reavowing also just opens his lane into the R. That's going to be something you got to worry about for the entire game, really. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like the board is more under control if you don't open the left side, but I don't know. No play is perfect here. Everything's got its risks. So it looks like all 5 games are still happening. We have no results. A whole lot of chatter going on about progress of these games so far, but no final results. So Avant for 36 does come down, and then Haiku for 53. A big score for Conrad, and now a difficult rack for Wasim. Oh, no, it's not difficult. He's got, oh boy, he's got Damder for 74. That looks like the play. We'll see if Wasim can find that bingo or something else. I don't think there's anything. He does find Damder. Very nice. It looks like Wasim is going to be in pretty good shape here. Up by over 100. Conrad's got a tough rack. He plays Clegg pretty quickly, and there's that Q I was talking about. But not sure if Conrad can come back here. It's not a bad Q for Wasim. It's a pretty easy Q to use. You can just play like Quaff or 25. That puts you up by over 100 with a leave that's fine. Like, you're not going to have any disaster scenarios after that. So this looks pretty good for Wasim. All 5 games are still in progress. We will definitely jump along. Yeah, I'm seeing some GG. Let's move on. All right, I agree with that. Let's take a look at what's happening in other games here. So we've got Will against Hassan, and it's a close one. Hassan leads, and he's on turn. So maybe a slight advantage there for Hassan, but we'll see. We've got Dave with a pretty big lead over Sohaib, up by over 100. We've got Jesse leading Moise right now, 144 to 74. We've got Imad losing by 50 to Austin. All right, so a lot is still hanging in the balance here. I'm not even going to make a prediction here. It is just going to be a close match. That's all I know. I'm seeing someone in the chat yelling Jesse. We can go look at Jesse a little bit, see how he's doing. I'm just going to venture a guess that the match comes down to this game because it's going to be the last one to finish. And Jesse and Moise have both been using their time quite a bit in these games. Let's take a look at Will, because I think his game was closer to the end. All right, so Hassan Hadi Khan has a decent sized lead over Will Anderson, and Will is probably looking for a way to fish for a bingo out, I guess. I'm going to make an executive call here. We're going to stick with this Will game until it's over, and then we'll update the scores with the results from Will and probably Conrad as well. We could very well have a situation where it's 12-10 Pakistan with the U.S. has a chance to come back and win the next three. Yeah, it's pointed out that there are some bingos possible. Soldans. I didn't know Soldans. Is that a word, really? Jeez. So it is. Yeah, also duolins, sundial, dulosis. There's lots of words. Oh, so after Taiga, Hassan kept OU. Okay. So then maybe islands is the most likely bingo that. Well, that's what Hassan could have. We're looking at Will's rack though. Sorry. Oh, you guys are way ahead of me. Okay, so Wade, I see. So Wade is the play from Will here that he should find, and if he does, he's got to worry about Hassan bingoing out with something like islands. Okay, okay, I see where we're at now. Took me a second. So it looks like Wade is a pretty strong option for Will. I'm not sure if there's anything else he has to think about. Yeah, so I was confused too, Wavin. So it's Will's turn. He's behind. He's going to play Wade, we think, and go up by 8 points, 453 to 445. He'll be ahead by 8, but we know. Oh, so we know that Hassan can't have a word like islands, but he can have a word like dulosis or. Because if he kept OU, then he's got to hope for dulosis or insoles or Sanius. So he does have some options here. Okay. And even if Will plays Wade and Hassan can't bingo, he could still have, a decent scoring out in two kind of endgame where he wins. I think Will's in trouble here. Oh yeah, Sudan's is also a word that Hassan could have. Is Wade a loss every time unless he draws SS? That's a good question. Yeah, it doesn't seem very good. I mean, if Wade is, 2% to win, that might be the best you have. I don't know what else there is besides Wade. You can't really not score 60 here. So it's pointed out in the chat that if you draw AS, then your opponent has. Well, I mean, AS you'd have Paseo, PSAO, or Pessoa, yeah. Pessoa would go here. I see. That's very nice. So Will definitely an underdog here, but there are some miracle draws that work for him. We'll see. Meanwhile, we do have one final score. Wasim has won his game against Conrad. So officially right now, the score in the match is 11-10. Pakistan leads. And it looks likely, but not for sure, that Pakistan's going to get this one too, but the U.S. could win the other three, so this is going to be really, really close. Sisler says if you draw AS, then they bingo out with unsolid. Does unsolid play? I saw unsolid too, but I didn't see a spot where it played. So Will now down under 2 minutes on his clock, 1:45 to be exact. He still hasn't played Wade yet, just to be clear. Wade is on his rack. He does play it, and unsolid is wow. Wow, so Will has drawn the outplay of PSOA in the bottom right corner, and Hassan has drawn a play of unsolid that won't play anywhere. That might be the miracle that Will needed. Wait, Pesto is not a word? Okay, well that changes everything. Somebody lied to me. But it takes an E. There's Pasoe. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, Will knows this and I don't because Will has that crazy boggle word knowledge. Oh, it's Pessoas and Pessoa. Okay. All right. Well, now the burden is on Hassan to find his play here. This is going to be tough. I don't know who wins at this point. All right. So we are getting word that Dave Wiegand has won against Sohaib Sana'ullah. So Dave goes 5-0 today and keeps the U.S. in the hunt here. This is going to be a crazy ending. Okay. So it's 11-11. So what does happen in this endgame then? Unsod. Oh, unsod is nice. Okay. So unsod would be 41 points. It would put Hassan ahead by 33. And is there a good spot for Soap or Apso? Or Opas or any of those? Yeah, this is tough. Also, unsod is a hard word to find. So it looks like this one's going to be very, very close coming down to the end. Ludo's is the play, and it's an 18-point deficit, and I think Will can find 18 points here. I think. Not 100%. Oh, Pax's. But I think Will would like to go out if he can. Is there a way to do that, though? I'm not seeing a spot for Opas. I'm looking for underlaps under Taiga. I'm not seeing one that fits. Oh boy, 40 seconds for Will now. Yeah, going out seems like the right choice, but I don't see what the outplay is. He needs what, 14 to tie, 15 to win? What is it? This is tough. So he does play Paxes. Oh, Upas would go out. Oupas, you say? Huh. But that wouldn't have won. Okay, so he plays Paxes and then Rin, and wow. Hassan's going to win by 5. Incredible. So Hassan wins 486, 481. A difficult endgame. Will had 8 seconds left. Not sure if he had a better play than Pax's. I don't think he had an outplay that scored enough. So the score becomes Pakistan 12, USA 11. The US needs to sweep the last 2. And the last 2 are Jessie Day versus Moise, a small lead for Jessie, and Austin Shin versus Imad Ali, a small lead for Austin. So the US leads both games, and they need to win both games. 8 tiles in the bag between Austin and Imad. And Austin is on turn, but he's got a hard rack, mostly vowels. Again, the US needs to win both games. They do have small leads in both, but it's going to be tough. Austin 335, Imad 297. I'm seeing a prediction in the chat that Pakistan wins. I mean, this is a tough rack right now for Austin. If he can't find a way to fight through this rack, it's going to be tough. Yes, we could see Ioli played for like the 100th millionth time today. That is possible. Jeez. There's a Z out. The Z could be brutal on that spot right there next to Ioli. There's also an X out, which could also be brutal in that area of the board. This is a very, very complicated pre-end game, and we have not a ton of time for either player. 4.5 minutes for Austin, 6 for Imad. Boy, this is going to be a tense endgame to this game, and a tense endgame to this match, and a tense endgame to this virtual World Cup. Again, the winner of this match advances to play India in the finals of the World Cup. Oh boy. Getting word in the chat that Jessie Day missed a bingo in the other game. Oh boy. So Moise takes the lead for Pakistan in that one. Interesting play by Austin here. He plays IO, blocking the Z-bomb, blocking the X-bomb sort of, And now Imad gets 44 for the... Oh, and Austin bingos. Wow. Austin with the clutch bingo at the end. 420 to 341. Austin now leads. Austin is going to win this game, and it's going to be 12-12. Wow. A clutch bingo late of isolates. He fishes with IO, and he draws isolates, and he's going to win this game. It's going to be 12-12, and it's going to come down to Jesse Day versus Moise Beg for all the marbles. It's a close game, 270 to 261. I'll go ahead and change the score. It's going to be 12-12 almost certainly, and it'll all come down to Moise and Jesse. The winner of this game plays India in the finals next week. The loser goes home. Oh boy. So, I wanted a dramatic finish, and boy howdy did I get it. We got a 12-12 match and a 270 to 261 game between Jesse and Moise. Radome is to play a 6-tile play, not a bingo, for Moise, and then Precise, the bingo for Jesse, 90 points. Jesse takes the lead. So Jesse puts the U.S. ahead late by a bingo, 11 tiles in the bag. Can he hold on and win this thing for the USA? The U.S. is now back in control of this match. If they can just close this out. I see Conrad in the chat asking if it all comes down to this. I will tell him yes. There are 49 people watching this game on ISC. No pressure. We've got a 12-12 match, and it all comes down to this game. Jesse Day with the bingo for the lead. 360 to 295. Moise needs to come back here. I'm seeing in the chat Cray is mentioned. Krai. That would put Moise in this one here with a chance to bingo. Precise does take hooks, so there's a chance that you can get a bingo in line N. Precise takes a D, R, and S, and there is a blank unseen, so there's definitely a chance that Moise gets lucky with a bingo either through the A and Cray or making a Precise hook at the bottom. There are ways to win this game. There is not a lot of time. 1.5 minutes for Moise, 2 minutes for Jesse. He plays Kana. No blank scene. Frau is the play, and Wildcat. But I don't believe it plays. Wildcat goes off the board by 1. That is tragic. Wow, look at that. That is, oh boy. So no bingo on this turn. 4 tiles in the bag. Could Moise find a way to fish and set himself up? He's down by 72. He needs... Whitclad strikes again, that's right. No Whitclad, only Wildcat. So Moise needs to play 3 tiles, I think, and give himself a chance to have as many bingos open as possible. All right, getting word in the chat that Austin won officially, so that 12-12 score is accurate for sure. And it all comes down to this game. Moise desperately needs to find a bingo at the end here. He doesn't have one now, but can he set one up for next turn? That is the only question left to answer. 30 seconds for Moise, about 2 minutes for Jesse. Seeing a suggestion of Daw in the chat at C7. Yeah, that's definitely an option. That would score 38. He does play it, and there's the blank for Jesse. Wow. Jesse has the second blank, and it looks like he's going to finish this one off. He's got Nased. He's got Gwynniads. He's got multiple bingos that play. Ooh, I'm seeing a mention in the chat of Windways. That is very cool. Jesse plays Cyanids. That'll work. And that'll put him up by over 100, and there's no bingo for Moise. So in dramatic fashion, the U.S. is going to win this game, and they're going to win the match. We're going to have a U.S. versus India finals in the Virtual World Cup. In incredible fashion, the U.S. comes back and wins. They were down 6-4. They were down 12-11. They needed wins from Austin and Jesse at the end, and it looks like they're going to get them. Austin with the win officially, and now Jesse is going to finish this one off as well. I'm seeing some India players in the chat. Hi, Sherwin. You've got your opponent for the finals. It's going to be U.S. versus India. We will probably schedule that one for next Saturday, August 15th. We will have an India-U.S. finals. Probably going to be this same time. Early morning U.S. time, late evening India time. So just a really dramatic finish, and the U.S. is going to hold on and win this one. Wow, down to the final seconds here, Moise just playing this one out to the very, very, very end, but it is going to be a win for the U.S. 13-12. And if we take a look at our bracket, the U.S. overcame Singapore in the first round of the playoffs 18-7. Pakistan beat Malaysia 14-11, and in the semifinals, in dramatic fashion, the U.S. wins 13-12, and it will be the U.S. facing India in the finals next weekend. Thank you so much to Pakistan for having a great run in this tournament. You guys were fantastic to the very, very end. And congratulations to the U.S. on advancing to the finals. It will be the U.S. versus India next Saturday. Everybody, don't go anywhere. We're going to have a post-game show for you coming up. I believe that Jennifer is currently rounding up the players for the U.S. and India for some post-game interviews. We'll talk to them about their games and talk to the U.S. about the upcoming finals between the U.S. and India. So don't go anywhere. We're going to have a post-game show in just a moment. I'm going to check on Jennifer and check on the U.S. and Pakistan players and see if they are ready to go or not. And if they are, you only have Dave Wiegand so far. Okay. Yeah. So if you are watching the chat, any Americans, Will, Conrad, whoever else who's in the chat, please go to the post-game show. Please go talk to Jennifer and do your post-game interviews. We're going to have that interview coming up very soon. Hi, Jesse. I see that you are there. There is a post-game show waiting for you. Jesse, congrats. Heck of a finish. The U.S. needed Austin and you to win in the final two games, and you both did, and it is a 13-12 final for the U.S. Let me go ahead and update that game screen with the final board. Jesse won 500-375, and the final score is the U.S. 13 and Pakistan 12. Let me just update that now. 13-12 U.S. is your final. And it looks like we are going to get underway pretty shortly with the post-game show. If I can just confirm that they are getting people rounded up. They are good to go. So I'm going to sign off shortly. I want to say thanks to everybody for watching along with these 25 games. It has been a blast to broadcast them. Don't go anywhere. We got a post-game show coming up right now. Over to Jennifer in just a moment. Thanks, guys. So long.